So beautiful, I whispered. Not knowing the alien woman I spoke of was right behind me. Ethan's shuttle cut through the violet skies of Violia, its metallic hull reflecting the soft light of three suns. The planet was famous across multiple star systems for its strange beauty, but few humans had ever landed here. Ethan had heard stories from explorers and scientists, tales of glowing forests, floating lakes, and ruins of civilizations that predated known space history. It was a place that seemed almost magical, and he was determined to see it for himself. He exited the shuttle, the hiss of the airlock echoing around the rocky plateau. A gust of warm wind brushed against his face, carrying the scent of something sweet and earthy. The ground beneath him was soft and slightly luminescent, reacting to his weight with a gentle glow. Ethan bent down to examine it. He could see tiny veins of light flowing beneath the surface like currents of water. He smiled. "This is unlike anything on Earth," he whispered to himself, almost in awe. The landscape stretched endlessly. Giant, spiraling trees with leaves that shimmered in hues of gold, green, and blue swayed gently as if aware of his presence. He could see floating islands in the distance, held aloft by some natural force he did not yet understand. Mist drifted between the cliffs, reflecting the sun's light in dazzling patterns. Ethan felt both excitement and nervousness. He had studied alien worlds his entire life, but nothing could prepare him for the real thing. He adjusted his pack and began to walk down a narrow path that led into the forest. Strange, melodic sounds echoed around him, almost like music, though he could not identify the source. As he walked, he pulled out his tablet and began to sketch the scenery. Every few steps, he stopped to admire the glowing plants or the delicate insects with transparent wings that flitted between the flowers. It was impossible not to feel a deep sense of wonder here. Hours passed, and the sun shifted in the sky, casting long shadows across the landscape. As Ethan approached a particularly dense part of the forest, he noticed a figure in the distance. At first, he thought it was another explorer. But as he drew closer, he realized it was a woman. Her skin glowed faintly, almost like the bioluminescent plants around her, and her eyes shimmered like molten gold. Her hair floated around her head as if weightless, and her movements were fluid and graceful. She seemed almost part of the forest itself. Ethan froze, unsure of what to do. He could not take his eyes off her. She looked like nothing he had ever seen before. His mind raced, trying to formulate a greeting, a way to introduce himself without startling her. But before he could do anything, he whispered almost unconsciously, "So beautiful." The words left his lips before he even realized what he had said. The moment hung in the air. Then he felt it, a shift in the energy around him. The hairs on the back of his neck stood up. He turned slowly, his heart pounding, and there she was, standing barely 5 feet away. The woman he had just spoken about was there, her golden eyes fixed on him. She did not look angry, but her gaze was piercing, evaluating, curious. Ethan swallowed hard. I didn't mean," he began, but she raised a hand, silencing him. "I heard you," she said, her voice melodic yet firm. "The words you spoke, most humans would not dare say them aloud. They fear what they do not understand. You are different." Ethan stepped back slightly, unsure if he should bow, speak, or run. I meant no harm. I was admiring the forest, and you are unlike anything I have ever seen." He tried to choose his words carefully, but they felt clumsy. The woman tilted her head, studying him. "I am Leora," she said finally. "I am the guardian of this place. You are human?" Ethan nodded. "Yes, Ethan Clark. I'm an explorer. I travel to study alien worlds to understand them. I mean no harm to Violia." Leora's eyes softened slightly. "Humans have come before. Most do not respect the balance of life here. They take what they want and leave destruction behind. Why should I trust you?" Ethan thought carefully. He had read about the suspicion alien guardians often held, and he knew this moment could decide his fate on this planet. "I cannot prove my words with weapons or technology. All I can offer is respect. I will follow your guidance and leave no harm. I wish to learn, not to destroy." Leora studied him for several long moments. Then slowly she nodded. "Follow me. But understand this, one misstep, one careless act, and you will leave this forest in a coffin." Ethan swallowed hard again, but nodded. "Understood." She moved ahead with a fluid grace, almost as if she were floating rather than walking. Ethan followed, careful to step lightly on the glowing ground. As they moved deeper into the forest, he noticed things he had not seen before. Plants seemed to react to Leora's presence, petals opening and closing in rhythm with her steps. Small creatures with shimmering wings darted between the trees, ignoring Ethan but circling around her. "Violia is alive," Ethan whispered, more to himself than to her. "Alive, yes," Leora said, "but it is not ours to dominate, we only protect it. The forest chooses who may enter, who may touch its secrets." Ethan nodded, trying to absorb every detail. "And the ruins, I read there are ancient civilizations here." "They exist," Leora said, "but you must understand they are not ruins to be plundered. They are memories, lessons left behind. Humans often take and destroy. You must learn to see, not take." As they walked, Ethan noticed subtle patterns in the forest. Some plants glowed brighter in specific sequences, almost like a language. He tried to draw them in his notebook, his excitement growing. "I want to understand it," he said. "You will," Leora replied, though her tone was cautious. "But understanding requires patience. Curiosity alone is not enough." They came to a clearing where the sunlight poured through in golden shafts. Ethan stopped, overwhelmed by the beauty. "It's incredible. I have never seen anything like this. Even on Earth, nothing compares." Leora stood silently beside him, her gaze scanning the forest as if protecting it from unseen threats. Ethan finally turned to her. "I keep saying it, but you are truly beautiful. Not just your appearance, but everything about you, your presence, your connection to this place." He trailed off, unsure if he had spoken too much. Leora's expression did not change, but there was a flicker of something in her eyes, perhaps amusement, perhaps curiosity. "Few humans speak with honesty about what they see and feel," she said. "Many speak only of conquest or fear. You are rare." Ethan felt a mix of relief and pride. "I want to learn, truly learn, about your people, your planet, everything." Leora nodded, stepping back into the forest path. "Then you will see more than you expect. But know this, Violia does not yield its secrets lightly. You must prove your worth, not through strength, but through understanding and courage." As they moved deeper into the forest, Ethan noticed how every step seemed to bring new wonders. Rivers glowed with bioluminescent fish, trees whispered with the wind, and strange flowers opened only in his presence. He realized that he had entered a world where humans were not at the center, and yet he felt welcomed, cautiously but genuinely. For the first time in his life, he felt the thrill of true exploration, not just to map a world or collect samples, but to connect with it, to understand it on its own terms. And standing beside Leora, he felt the weight of responsibility. He could not falter. One mistake could cost him not just his life, but the trust of a being who was unlike anything else in the galaxy. As the suns began to set, casting long shadows and painting the sky in vibrant colors, Ethan felt a strange sense of peace. He had come to Violia expecting adventure, maybe danger, but he had found something far more profound, a chance to witness life in its purest form, and a connection with a being who could teach him the true meaning of respect, courage, and wonder. And though he did not yet know what lay ahead, he could not shake the feeling that this encounter, the moment he had whispered words he did not intend to speak, was the beginning of something extraordinary, something that would change not just his understanding of the universe, but the way humanity could be seen by others. For now, he followed Leora through the glowing forest, every sense alert, every step careful, every heartbeat filled with anticipation. He had arrived on Violia as an explorer, but already he felt the first stirrings of something greater, a journey not just across space, but into the very heart of life itself. Ethan followed Leora deeper into the forest, every step revealing wonders that defied his imagination. The light from the bioluminescent plants bathed the path in a soft, otherworldly glow. Tiny creatures with delicate wings, like living jewels, fluttered around him, leaving trails of light in the air. Leora walked ahead with effortless grace, her golden eyes scanning the surroundings as though she could see every movement, every living thing. Ethan tried not to stumble, fearful that a single misstep might break her trust. "You must move carefully," Leora said, her voice soft but firm. "The forest feels everything. It can sense fear, arrogance, or dishonesty. It can reject those who do not respect it." Ethan nodded, swallowing his pride. "I understand. I will be careful." They reached a clearing where the trees arched high above them, forming a natural cathedral. The light filtering through the leaves shimmered like 1,000 tiny stars. In the center of the clearing was a pool of water, perfectly still, reflecting the sky and the glowing foliage around it. Ethan approached it cautiously, amazed at its clarity. Fish with translucent bodies swam gracefully beneath the surface, glowing faintly with their own inner light. "This is a sacred pool," Leora said, standing beside him. "It is older than any human records. It has witnessed countless generations of life on Vierlia. Look closely and you may see what has passed before you." Ethan leaned over and peered into the water. For a moment he saw nothing unusual, but then the reflection shifted. Scenes played across the surface of the pool, alien creatures walking through forests, ancient cities with spires reaching for the sky, battles fought long ago, and moments of peace and celebration. Ethan gasped. "It's history. I can see the past." "Yes," Leora said. "Vierlia remembers, not in words or stories, but in life itself. It is connected to everything that has lived here. Those who respect it may learn from it. Those who seek only to take will find nothing but loss." Ethan's mind raced. This was more than a planet, it was a living archive. "I have never seen anything like this," he whispered. "On Earth, we have history books, but they cannot capture life itself." Leora smiled faintly, a rare gesture. "Humans have curiosity, intelligence, and courage. But many lack patience. You must learn both to survive here and to understand what this place truly is." As they moved on, the forest became denser, yet strangely navigable. Leora led Ethan along narrow paths where the trees seemed to bend slightly to make room for them. Strange flowers bloomed in patterns that suggested a language, and tiny insects moved in synchrony, almost like a natural choreography. Ethan tried to record everything on his tablet, sketching, taking notes, and photographing the oddest phenomena. "Why do your people stay hidden?" Ethan asked. "With knowledge like this, you could explore the galaxy, share it with others." Leora shook her head. "Knowledge without wisdom is dangerous. Many civilizations destroy themselves and others when they seek power without understanding. My people protect this knowledge to prevent harm. We learn from the past and act only when necessary." Ethan considered this. "But humans, we are not always careful. Many of us take without thinking. I can only speak for myself, but I want to understand. I want to respect what I discover." Leora paused and studied him. "Your words may be true or they may be instinct. Only time will tell. Actions, not words, reveal character." As the day passed, they arrived at a grove filled with towering crystalline structures. Light passed through the crystals in rainbows, creating shifting patterns on the ground. The air was charged with a subtle energy that made Ethan feel alive and alert. "This is where the ancients once lived," Leora explained. "Their civilization was advanced, yet they vanished. They left behind wisdom, but also warnings. Many came seeking to take, and they failed." Ethan ran his hand along a crystal, feeling a faint vibration. "I've studied ancient ruins before, but nothing compares to this. It's alive. It's like it knows we are here." "Yes," Leora said. "It remembers. Vierlia does not forget easily. That is why it can be dangerous to those who do not respect it." Suddenly a sound broke the peaceful atmosphere, a rustle in the bushes nearby. Ethan froze, heart pounding. Leora's stance shifted and her eyes narrowed. From the shadows emerged a small group of humanoid explorers, armed and wearing suits that seemed more focused on utility than beauty. Ethan recognized their insignia. They were from a rival expedition, one rumored to exploit alien worlds for profit. Leora's voice was low but firm. "Stay behind me." The leader of the group stepped forward, his voice harsh. "We've been tracking this human. You are trespassing, alien. Step aside or we take what we want." Ethan felt a surge of fear, but he also felt a strange determination. He had promised to respect Vierlia, and now that promise included protecting Leora. He stepped slightly forward, raising his hands in a non-threatening gesture. "We don't want conflict," he said. "Please leave this place. It is sacred. You cannot take it." The leader laughed, a cold, harsh sound. "Sacred or not, resources are resources, and anything worth protecting is worth taking." Leora moved smoothly, almost like a shadow, positioning herself between Ethan and the intruders. Her presence seemed to calm some of the smaller creatures, though the energy in the grove grew tense. Ethan noticed the crystals beginning to hum faintly, resonating with the stress in the air. "Humans often underestimate the value of life beyond their own," Leora said quietly, her voice carrying authority. "They forget that strength is not only in force, but in wisdom, respect, and courage." Ethan felt a spark of resolve. He realized that this was the moment to prove himself, not with weapons or technology, but with ingenuity and quick thinking. The intruders advanced, but the ground itself responded to Ethan's awareness. He noticed that stepping on certain glowing patterns caused small bursts of light, distracting the intruders. He used these patterns to guide Leora through the grove while keeping the group at bay. One of the explorers lunged toward him, but Ethan dodged and activated a small device that emitted a harmless but disorienting pulse of light and sound. The intruder stumbled, giving Leora the chance to move and block another attack with a flick of her hand that seemed effortless, yet precise. Ethan realized that together, their coordination, human ingenuity and alien skill made them far stronger than the attackers expected. After several tense minutes, the intruders hesitated, unsure of how to proceed. Ethan and Leora paused, catching their breath, and then the leader gave a frustrated shout. "This isn't over. We'll return." Ethan knew that would likely be true, but for now, the immediate danger had passed. Leora exhaled softly, a gesture that conveyed both relief and evaluation. "You have courage," she said to Ethan, "and quick thinking. Many humans would have fled or panicked. You act with awareness and care." Ethan felt a mixture of pride and humility. "I had help," he said honestly. "You guided me in the forest. It showed me what to do." Leora nodded. "Perhaps you are worthy of learning more. But understand this, trust must be earned, not given freely. You will continue to be tested in ways both obvious and subtle. Violia will judge you as much as I do." Ethan realized that this planet was not just a place to explore, it was a living teacher. Every creature, every plant, every crystal seemed to have a purpose, a lesson to impart. And Leora, as its guardian, was both a guide and a test. As night fell, the forest transformed again. The bioluminescent plants glowed brighter, casting soft light on Ethan's path. The air was cooler, carrying new scents of flowers that opened only in darkness. Tiny creatures with glowing eyes watched him silently from the underbrush, curious but unthreatening. Ethan and Leora set up a small camp near a waterfall that shimmered like liquid silver in the moonlight. Leora showed him how to create a safe sleeping area without disturbing the forest. "Violia protects those who respect it," she explained. "Those who fail to respect it will find themselves alone and vulnerable." Ethan watched her move with fluid precision, setting up protective wards and observing the forest. He was fascinated by her knowledge, her connection to the planet, and her patience. For a long moment, he simply sat, sketching the glowing trees and the flowing waterfall, trying to capture even a fraction of the beauty surrounding him. "You are learning quickly," Leora said, her voice soft in the night. "But learning is not just about observation. It is about understanding, seeing beyond what is visible, sensing beyond what is immediate. Humans often see only what they want to see." Ethan nodded. "I want to understand. I want to respect this place and learn from it. I know it is not just about collecting data. There is something deeper here, something that connects everything." Leora regarded him for a long moment, and Ethan felt as if she were peering into his very soul. Finally, she said, "Perhaps you are not like the others. Perhaps you can see beyond yourself. But you must be patient. Understanding does not come all at once. It is a journey, sometimes long, sometimes dangerous." Ethan felt a mixture of excitement and resolve. He had come to Violia seeking adventure, but now he understood that this adventure was not about discovery alone. It was about connection, courage, and the humility to respect life beyond his own. And standing beside Leora, he realized that he was not just exploring a planet. He was stepping into a story far greater than anything he could have imagined. As he lay down to rest that night, the glow of the forest casting gentle patterns on his face, Ethan felt a sense of purpose he had never known. The journey had only just begun, and he was determined to prove himself worthy, not only to Leora but to Violia itself. And somewhere deep in the forest, unseen but aware, the planet seemed to watch him with cautious curiosity, as if it too wanted to see if this human could honor its secrets. Ethan woke before dawn, the soft glow of Violia's bioluminescent plants painting his camp in pale colors. The air was cool and fragrant, carrying hints of alien flowers and damp earth. He stretched, careful not to disturb the fragile forest around him. Leora was already awake, standing near the waterfall, her form reflected in the silver water as she scanned the surroundings. Her eyes gleamed, alert and thoughtful, even in the soft light. "You sleep lightly," she said without turning. "I need to be ready," Ethan replied. "I want to learn everything I can while I'm here. Every detail matters." Leora finally looked at him, her gaze calm but intense. "Knowledge comes not only from observation but from experience. There are lessons you cannot understand from sight alone. Today you will see what I mean." Without another word, she turned and began walking through the forest. Ethan followed closely, mindful of every step. The path wound through towering trees and crystalline formations, their surfaces reflecting the dawn light. The forest seemed to awaken with them, leaves rustling in silent rhythm and small creatures peeking from behind branches. They arrived at a deep ravine, its edges lined with glowing fungi. A narrow bridge of living vines and roots stretched across, swaying slightly in the breeze. Ethan peered down at the sheer drop. "That's high." Leora's expression was unreadable. "Do not focus on the height. Focus on the path. Fear clouds judgment. Courage comes from clarity, not the absence of fear." Taking a deep breath, Ethan stepped onto the bridge. It felt alive beneath his feet, reacting subtly to his weight. He moved slowly, careful to mirror Leora's rhythm. Halfway across, a sudden gust of wind shook the bridge. Ethan froze, but Leora's steady presence beside him gave him strength. He continued, step by step, until they reached the other side safely. "Good," Leora said. "You controlled your fear. That is the first step in understanding Violia. You must respect what you do not yet know and act with patience and awareness." Ethan nodded, his heart still racing. "I understand. I think I am starting to." The forest opened into a vast expanse of floating islands, each hovering above the ground, connected by slender natural bridges and swirling streams of energy. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. "It's unbelievable. How is this even possible?" "It is not for humans to question why, only to understand how," Leora said. "These islands are alive. They respond to energy, thought, and emotion. To walk among them requires balance and respect." Ethan stepped carefully onto one of the islands, feeling the slight vibration beneath his feet. Leora followed, guiding him silently. As they moved, he noticed strange symbols etched into the surfaces, glowing faintly. They seemed to pulse in rhythm with the floating islands themselves, almost as if the planet communicated through them. "Those symbols," Ethan said, pointing, "do they mean something?" "They are the language of the ancients," Leora explained. "Not words, but patterns of thought. To understand them fully, one must listen with the mind, not just the eyes. Many humans try and fail because they rely only on senses, not understanding." Ethan concentrated, letting his thoughts slow and become more deliberate. Slowly, he began to perceive subtle shifts in the patterns, the way the energy of the islands responded to his focus. It was not easy, and his mind often faltered, but Leora's presence reminded him to persist. Hours passed as they traversed the floating islands. Ethan learned to move with care, to read the pulses of energy, and to anticipate changes. Leora taught him how to feel the rhythm of the forest and the islands, how to synchronize his thoughts with the flow of life around him. It was exhausting but exhilarating. As they reached the far end of the islands, Ethan glimpsed movement in the distance. Another group of explorers, armed and careless, attempting to cross the floating terrain. Ethan's heart sank. The same faction from yesterday had returned, more determined, more reckless. "They are dangerous," Leora said quietly, her golden eyes narrowing. "They do not respect Violia, nor do they understand it. They seek only to take, to destroy, and to claim what they cannot control." Ethan swallowed. "What can we do?" "Watch, learn, and act when necessary," Leora replied. "This is your trial. Your actions will define your place here. You must prove that humans can be more than conquerors." The intruders moved clumsily, stepping on unstable islands and triggering small tremors. Ethan noticed their fear and panic, their lack of awareness of the living world around them. He realized that with careful thought, he could guide them away without harm. He whispered to Leora, "I think I can do it. I can use what I've learned to protect this place." Leora nodded slightly. "Then act. Be calm, be deliberate, and trust your instincts." Ethan focused, sensing the flow of energy through the islands. He guided the intruders toward a narrow passage, one that would lead them back the way they came without endangering themselves. He subtly shifted the energy of the path using the techniques Leora had taught him, creating gentle vibrations and light pulses that nudged them along. The intruders stumbled and faltered, but Ethan maintained control. Leora moved beside him, ready to intervene if necessary, her presence a silent assurance. After tense moments, the intruders realized they were being guided and began retreating, muttering curses but unable to resist the natural force directing them. When the last of them disappeared into the forest, Ethan exhaled, relief washing over him. "We did it," he whispered. Yes, Leora said. But remember, this was not a fight of strength. It was a test of awareness, courage, and respect. You proved that humans can act with wisdom when guided by understanding. Ethan felt a surge of pride, but also humility. He had survived, not because of weapons or brute force, but because he had learned to see the world through the eyes of someone who understood it deeply. He realized that this was the essence of Violia. Life was not to be conquered, only respected and understood. As they continued, Leora led him to a hidden valley filled with bioluminescent trees that formed natural arches and tunnels. The air shimmered with energy and the ground was soft and warm. Ethan could feel a deep connection here, a sense that the planet itself acknowledged his presence. This is the heart of Violia, Leora said. Here life is most concentrated, most vibrant. You must tread lightly, for even a small mistake could cause harm. Ethan knelt to examine the soil, noticing tiny creatures burrowing and moving in harmony with the plants above. He realized that every element, every living being, played a role in the balance of this world. It's like the entire planet is alive, he murmured. It is, Leora said simply. And those who understand this, those who act with respect, can become part of its story. Those who do not will be forgotten or destroyed. Ethan spent the afternoon observing and learning, guided by Leora's gentle instruction. She taught him how to sense the subtle currents of energy, how to predict the movements of creatures, and how to recognize patterns in the environment that revealed hidden dangers or opportunities. By evening, Ethan felt exhausted but exhilarated. He had learned more in a single day than he had in years of exploration. He realized that the real challenge was not discovering the planet's wonders, but understanding them and acting in harmony with them. As night fell, the forest lit up again, brighter than ever. Ethan and Leora set up camp near a small glowing pond. Ethan sat, sketching the patterns of light and energy he had observed. Leora stood silently, watching the sky, her presence both comforting and inspiring. You have learned much today, Leora said after a long pause. But there is still more to see, more to understand. Tomorrow your courage and wisdom will be tested further. You must continue to prove that humans are capable of more than fear and destruction. Ethan looked at her, determination shining in his eyes. I understand. I want to continue. I want to show you that humans can be honorable, that we can respect life beyond our own. Leora's expression softened slightly. Perhaps you can, but remember, respect is not given freely. It is earned through action, thought, and the choices you make. The world watches, and it will remember. Ethan lay down that night under the glow of the forest, listening to the gentle hum of life around him. He felt a connection he had never experienced before, a bond not just with Leora, but with the planet itself. He realized that this journey was more than exploration. It was a lesson in humility, courage, and the true meaning of strength. And somewhere deep within the forest, Violia seemed to respond, as if acknowledging that this human might indeed be different. Someone capable of understanding and protecting the life that had flourished here for countless generations. Ethan closed his eyes, feeling the weight of responsibility, the thrill of discovery, and the promise of what was to come. He knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges, but he was ready. Not just as a human explorer, but as someone who could honor the trust of an alien world and the guardian who had allowed him to witness its wonders. The next morning, Violia greeted Ethan with a symphony of colors and sounds. The forest pulsed with life, every leaf and crystal reflecting the dawn light in soft, moving patterns. He could feel the energy of the planet more strongly now, almost as if it were aware of him, gauging his presence. Leora moved ahead silently, her steps perfectly in tune with the rhythm of the forest. Ethan followed, aware that every movement mattered. This part of the forest is ancient, Leora explained, her voice quiet but resonant. The energy here is strong and it responds to intentions. Do not let your curiosity turn into recklessness. Violia watches all who enter and it does not forgive carelessness. Ethan nodded. I understand. I will be careful. They reached a series of tall, crystalline pillars arranged in a circular formation. Light bounced off them in dazzling patterns, creating reflections that danced across the ground. Ethan marveled at their beauty. He felt as if he had stepped into another dimension. These pillars are remnants of the ancients, Leora said. They were used to communicate with the planet itself, to harmonize with its energy. Few humans have ever witnessed them, and even fewer have understood them. Ethan stepped closer, placing his hand on one of the pillars. A gentle vibration ran through him, and images flashed in his mind. Ancient beings moving in harmony with Violia, energies flowing between them and the planet, and a civilization that valued life and balance above all else. He staggered slightly, overwhelmed by the intensity. Leora placed a hand on his shoulder. Focus. Do not let the visions overwhelm you. They are not just history, they are lessons. Learn what they have to teach and you may understand your place here. Ethan closed his eyes and breathed deeply. Slowly, the visions began to make sense. He saw the consequences of disrespect, the mistakes of those who took without understanding, and the harmony achieved by those who acted with care. It was a revelation. Humans often approached exploration with the mindset of ownership or conquest, but here he saw the truth. Understanding and respect were more powerful than force. You are beginning to understand, Leora said. But knowledge alone is not enough. Action is what proves intent. As if on cue, a distant rumble shook the ground. Ethan opened his eyes to see a group of intruders approaching again, this time larger and more organized. They carried equipment designed to extract resources, ignoring the delicate balance of the forest. Their presence sent small creatures scattering and caused subtle tremors in the floating islands nearby. Ethan's heart raced. He had learned much, but now it was time to put that knowledge into action. He glanced at Leora, who nodded slightly, as if giving him permission to act. "Stay close to me," she said. "We will not fight with weapons. You must use what you have learned, the energy of the forest, the patterns of the land, and your own ingenuity." Ethan took a deep breath and surveyed the terrain. He noticed that certain areas of the forest and islands reacted differently to movement and energy. With careful thought, he guided the intruders toward unstable areas, using vibrations, light pulses, and subtle manipulations of the environment to create gentle obstacles. The intruders struggled, tripping over roots, slipping on glowing moss, and misjudging distances between floating islands. Leora moved alongside him, silently reinforcing the patterns he had created. Together, they were a coordinated force, human ingenuity complemented by alien mastery. Ethan realized that this partnership was the true test of his abilities. It was not enough to survive. He had to work in harmony with Leora and the planet itself. The intruders grew frustrated, attempting to push forward aggressively. Ethan stayed calm, anticipating their movements and adjusting the energy flow subtly. At one point, an intruder lunged toward him, but Ethan quickly used a controlled pulse from a small device to disorient him, causing him to stumble without harm. Leora intercepted another, redirecting him away from fragile areas. After what felt like hours, the intruders, exhausted and unable to maintain their advance, retreated. Ethan felt a surge of relief and pride. He had successfully defended the forest without harming anyone, proving that humans could act with courage, intelligence, and respect. Leora turned to him, her golden eyes reflecting both pride and approval. "You acted with awareness and restraint. Many humans would have resorted to force or fled in fear. You have shown that humanity is capable of more than destruction." Ethan exhaled, the tension in his body finally easing. "I couldn't have done it without you. You guided me, and the forest, it responded to us." "Yes," Leora said, "but remember, this is only the beginning. Trust is earned through repeated actions. You will face greater challenges, and your decisions will carry more weight. Violia is patient, but it is also unforgiving to those who fail to learn." As they continued through the forest, Ethan noticed subtle changes in the environment. Crystals pulsed more brightly, plants seemed to respond to his presence, and creatures moved around him with a sense of recognition rather than fear. It was as if the planet itself acknowledged his actions and began to include him in its rhythm. They reached a serene valley where a river of liquid light flowed between floating stones. The water shimmered with colors that shifted and changed, reflecting the moods of the planet. Leora gestured for Ethan to sit by the riverbank. "Rest," she said. "You have done well today." But even in rest, there is learning. Observe, feel, and understand. Violia speaks in ways that are not always loud or obvious. You must learn to listen. Ethan sat quietly, letting the energy of the river wash over him. He felt a deep connection to the planet, a sense of being part of something greater than himself. The visions of the ancients returned briefly, but this time he could focus without being overwhelmed. He saw how humans could be allies, not conquerors, if they approached life with respect and awareness. "Why are you helping me?" he asked softly. Most humans don't deserve this. They destroy, they take, they exploit. Why trust me? Leora looked at him thoughtfully. I do not trust easily, but I sense that you are different. You act not out of fear, greed, or pride, but out of curiosity, respect, and courage. That is rare among humans. My people have long watched your species. Many fail to see the value of life beyond themselves, yet some show potential. Ethan felt a mix of humility and determination. I want to be one of those humans. I want to prove that we can be honorable, that we can respect life beyond our own. Leora nodded, a faint smile on her lips. Then you must continue to learn. Violia tests all who enter. Your courage, your choices, and your understanding will be tested in ways you cannot yet imagine. As night fell, the valley transformed. The river glowed brighter, and the floating stones emitted soft pulses of light. Ethan watched, mesmerized, as small creatures danced along the water, their movements synchronized with the flowing energy. He realized that the planet itself was alive, not just in the physical sense, but in a way that connected every being, every plant, every crystal. Leora stood beside him, her gaze on the river. Tomorrow, you will face a challenge that will demand all you have learned. It will test your courage, your understanding, and your ability to act without hesitation. Are you ready? Ethan took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her words. I am ready. I will do my best. I want to show that humans can be more than what others think. Then rest tonight, Leora said. For tomorrow, the true test begins. And remember, you are not alone. You are part of this world now, and it will respond to those who act with respect and courage. Ethan lay down on the soft ground, listening to the gentle hum of life around him. The river of light, the glowing plants, and the subtle vibrations of the forest filled him with a sense of peace and determination. He understood that the journey ahead would be dangerous and difficult, but he also knew that he had the guidance of Leora, the wisdom of the planet, and his own courage to rely on. As he drifted into sleep, he felt a deep connection to Violia, a bond that went beyond words or understanding. It was a promise to protect, to respect, and to honor the life around him. And somewhere deep within the forest, the planet seemed to acknowledge that this human was different, someone capable of learning, growing, and proving the true potential of humanity. The first light of dawn shimmered across Violia, painting the forest in soft golds and blues. Ethan awoke with a mixture of anticipation and nervous energy. Today, Leora had said, he would face a challenge unlike any before, a test of courage, wisdom, and the respect he had cultivated for the planet. He felt ready, but the weight of responsibility pressed heavily on his shoulders. Leora stood at the edge of the clearing, her form calm, her golden eyes reflecting determination. The trial begins now, she said. What lies ahead is not simply danger, but a chance to prove your understanding. Violia will judge your actions as it does all who enter. You must act with awareness and courage. Ethan nodded, tightening his grip on his pack. He felt the energy of the planet coursing through the ground beneath him, a subtle but tangible reminder of the responsibility he carried. I understand, he said. I will do my best. They moved together toward a valley shrouded in mist, where floating stones and luminous plants created an ethereal landscape. Ethan could sense tension in the air. The forest itself seemed to hold its breath. Small creatures darted between the trees, watching, waiting, as if they too were participants in this test. Observe first, Leora advised. Do not act without understanding. The trial will challenge not only your courage, but your patience, your insight, and your respect for life. As they approached the valley, a sudden tremor shook the ground. Ethan froze as he saw a massive chasm open in front of them. From within it rose strange, shadowy forms, creatures of energy and light that shimmered and pulsed with life. They moved unpredictably, their shapes shifting as if made of the forest itself. Ethan realized this was not a simple test of agility, but a challenge to his perception and understanding of the world around him. These beings are part of Violia, Leora said softly. They respond to intent. Aggression will provoke them, understanding will guide them. You must move carefully. Ethan took a deep breath. He focused on the patterns of energy in the valley, recalling everything Leora had taught him. The vibrations of the floating stones, the subtle glow of the plants, the movement of the creatures, all of it formed a rhythm. He synchronized his own movements with that rhythm, stepping lightly on the stones, letting his mind guide his body in harmony with the environment. One of the energy beings surged toward him, a swirling mass of light and motion. Ethan did not panic. Instead, he extended his hands slowly, projecting calm and respect. The creature hesitated, its shape shifting as it reacted to his intent. It hovered for a moment, then veered away, acknowledging his presence without harm. Ethan felt a thrill of understanding. The beings were not enemies, they were guardians, reflections of the planet's energy and will. Leora observed silently, a faint smile on her lips. "You see clearly," she said. "Many humans would have rushed, fought, or fled. You move with awareness, and that is the key to this trial." As they progressed through the valley, the challenges intensified. Floating stones tilted and shifted, glowing plants released bursts of energy, and more of the shadowy forms emerged, testing his balance, patience, and focus. Ethan relied on every lesson he had learned: the rhythm of the forest, the flow of energy through the islands, and the subtle signs that indicated danger. At one point, a creature moved directly toward him, more aggressive than the others. Ethan felt a surge of fear, but he remembered Leora's words. Courage comes from clarity, not the absence of fear. He paused, grounding himself, and projected calm intent once more. The creature hesitated, then shifted away, allowing him to pass. Hours seemed to pass in this delicate dance of observation and action. Ethan's confidence grew, not from dominance or power, but from understanding. He realized that true strength came from harmony, not force, and that respect for life and the environment could achieve what violence never could. Finally, they reached the heart of the valley, a massive crystal formation glowing with pure energy. Its light pulsed in harmony with the rhythm of the planet, and Ethan could feel its power resonating through his body. Leora stepped beside him. "This is the core," she said. "It will test your final understanding. You must approach it not as an object to be taken, but as a being to be acknowledged. Only those who act with pure intent may touch it and gain its blessing." Ethan stepped forward, his heart pounding. He extended his hands toward the crystal, careful not to grasp or force anything. He projected his intent, respect, understanding, and a desire to honor the life around him. The crystal responded, its light pulsing in harmony with his own heartbeat. He felt a connection unlike anything he had experienced, a direct link to Vyrlia itself. A vision unfolded before him. The ancient civilizations, the guardians who had come before, the balance of life maintained for millennia. He saw the consequences of recklessness, but also the rewards of wisdom and courage. He understood that humans, too, could rise to this level if only they acted with respect and care. Leora's voice broke the silence. "You have passed, Ethan. Not through strength, not through weapons, but through understanding, awareness, and courage. You have proven that humans can be more than what many believe, that they can honor life beyond their own and act with wisdom and respect." Ethan felt a surge of pride and humility. I don't know what to say. I only wanted to do the right thing, to understand, to respect. I never imagined." Leora placed a hand on his shoulder. "Actions speak louder than words. You have shown the true potential of humanity, and you have earned the trust of Vyrlia. From this moment, you are not just a visitor. You are a guardian, a witness, and a participant in the life of this planet." The crystal pulsed brighter, and Ethan felt a warm energy flow through him. It was not just light, but understanding, courage, and connection. He realized that his journey had transformed him, not just as an explorer, but as a human capable of truly seeing and respecting life beyond his own world. As they left the valley, the forest seemed to shift around them, acknowledging his presence. The plants glowed more brightly, creatures moved with ease around him, and the floating islands pulsed with gentle energy. Ethan felt a deep bond with Vyrlia, a connection that went beyond words or understanding. They returned to the area near the waterfall where they had camped before. Ethan sat on a rock, gazing at the flowing silver water, trying to process everything that had happened. "I never imagined that a planet could be alive in this way," he said, "and that humans could be capable of being more than conquerors." Leora watched him quietly. "You have proven that potential exists, even in a species often driven by fear, pride, and greed. Courage, wisdom, and respect can transform actions. You are proof of that. Humans have the ability to honor life if they choose to learn." Ethan felt a profound sense of fulfillment. He had come to Vyrlia seeking adventure and discovery, but he had found something far greater: the opportunity to understand, to respect, and to connect with a world unlike any other. And in doing so, he had shown that humanity, too, could rise to meet the highest ideals of life and stewardship. As the sun set, casting the forest in deep violet and gold, Ethan looked at Leora. "Thank you," he said softly, "for guiding me, for trusting me, for showing me what's possible." Leora's golden eyes softened. "You earned it, and remember, this is only the beginning. Violia is vast, its lessons endless, but now you know the path of courage, understanding, and respect. Walk it well, and you will honor not only this world, but all life you encounter." Ethan nodded, feeling a sense of peace and purpose he had never known. He had faced trials, dangers, and tests of character, and he had emerged stronger, wiser, and more aware. The journey had transformed him, and he knew that it would shape the rest of his life. As night fell, the forest shimmered with life, and Ethan felt a deep, abiding connection to Violia. The planet, the guardian, and the lessons he had learned would remain with him forever. He had proven that humans could act with courage, wisdom, and respect, and that even in the vastness of the universe, there was a place for those who sought to honor life rather than conquer it. For Ethan, the adventure was more than discovery. It was a testament to the potential of humanity, a reminder that even in unknown worlds, courage, understanding, and respect could shine brighter than any light, stronger than any force, and leave a mark that would endure far beyond a single lifetime. And somewhere deep in the forest, the energy of Violia pulsed in harmony with his heartbeat, acknowledging his presence, his growth, and the promise of what humanity could achieve when it chose the path of honor, courage, and respect.